I got to the point where I couldn't even open a jar. I had so much pain in my wrist as I was doing yoga that, yes, it was affecting my yoga, but I got to the point where I couldn't even open a jar. And it was debilitating. I was like trying to fill my Yeti up, and I'm like, can't get to yoga because I don't have water. I thought this was kind of due to my lifestyle and that my choice to engage in sort of a high stress, very mentally taxing career. But I would be very, very, very tired, especially days where I go to the office, because I sometimes go to the office. I have a commute on top of just that mental taxation. And I just kind of got used to being very, very tired. And I thought that was normal. Another thing I think I just sort of accepted is that I tend to, when I'm really focused or really stressed working on a computer, I kind of tense up, lock my jaw almost.
Yeah.
And so I've had to deal with, for a decade or so, just having that come and go and different levels of intensity depending on what I'm doing for work. Kind of thought that was my norm. And I just had to be really careful with it, take care of it. I didn't know that I could have a long reprieve from it.
And did you think in any way that the wrist and the TMJ and energy levels were related?
Not really.
Most people wouldn't. But we talked about the one central system that controls everything in the body, the central nervous system. And when it becomes out of balance or overstressed, that's when we see these different symptoms show up. When you first came in, we do nervous system scans. So we have 3 different scans that we utilize to be able to visualize the stored stress in the body. Do you remember what was that like when you first saw your scans and a visual for what was even causing not only the wrist, but potentially some other things too?
I was excited to see my scans because I thought it was cool that there would be a visual baseline to kind of understand. One thing I was happy about was that I think that I had a good use of energy, but it was the parts in my spine, and you'll know this better than me, where the energy was being overused or misused, that was sort of wearing me out, is the way I understood it.
There's a technical word for the nerds out there. Dysponesis is like a misuse of energy, and when it's misfiring really in the central nervous system, that creates inefficiency in the body. And these inefficiencies is what show up oftentimes as symptoms. So sometimes the symptoms can be physical pain, it can be low energy, like you mentioned. So can you walk us through then, as we took you through this plan to really help your central nervous system function better, what changed in your life? How did things feel as time went on?
My wrist started immediately responding. Like, I even think after the first treatment, it started getting better. So that was really exciting. My TMJ started letting up to the point where I was excited to keep going week over week, to be like, how long can this keep going? Then I think the most surprising thing that I know I've shared with you that was exciting for not only me, but also my husband, is that those days where I would go into the office and I would be very mentally taxed and, physically taxed from the commute, instead of going home and being like, I can't talk, I've got to go have quiet time, maybe even take a nap. I could actually walk in the door, take a second and say, hey, do you want to go on a walk? Like, my energy levels, even after all of that, were sustained enough that I could go outside and enjoy my life.
Which is amazing, because for so many people, I think watching this, they can relate to that at the end of the day, just feeling tired, feeling like they want to just melt into the couch. And it can't really visualize what it would even be like to have more energy. And commonly in my position, I get to see people blame age. I just turned 30, so I'm getting old. At every decade, I've heard age, whether it's 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. And I don't know now, when you look at maybe even your colleagues.
I do think I hear everybody say that.
We're meant to be in our prime at 30 years old. You're 40 years old. We're in our prime.
Totally.
Not meant to be falling apart. A lot of people are fearful maybe of some of the cracking or popping. We did that in here in this office for about 6 years. We don't anymore. We're really focused on the nervous system. So we use a tool that's more directly changed the spinal cord, which is connected to the brain. So it's more nervous system focused.
I had tried traditional chiropractic long, long ago, but I was a bit nervous because I think maybe other people can relate to that. But I still came in because, again, the wrist pain, all the things. The magic clicker, as I call it, is so cool because it is not scary at all, because it does all this cool stuff, but it doesn't feel like anything's happening.
I know.
It's just like these clicks.
Yeah.
And then the things start happening.
Yeah.
That's what I think is so cool about it. I started thinking about this plant that I had sitting on my bathroom windowsill literally for years. Didn't remember what plant was in there, and embarrassingly so, it has just been sitting as an empty pot of dirt in a cute container, but just a pot of dirt that was not taken care of whatsoever. It had sunlight, but I kept meaning to throw it out. I'm glad I didn't. Because I think through either taking more baths or having more humidity in there, something happened where I looked over one day and there was like these tiny little green things just poking out of the dirt. I had to take a very close look, but it started growing super rapidly. And then I started taking pictures of it because I was trying to figure out what in the world could this be. It had been so long, I didn't even remember what was in there.
Because you had left it unattended for how long? No judgment. Years. Unattended for years, and it didn't die. And then all of a sudden it gets little elements of the conditions at once, whether it's humidity or maybe sunlight, and it took off, right?
Catapulted, and I became very precious about it. I almost didn't want to change it. Like, I didn't even want to water anything. I wanted to know what it was, and so I kept taking pictures. And the coolest thing was, once it started showing its leaves, it became very easy to figure out what it was. It was actually calla lily, as I shared with you, which is a bulb plant. And so what we thought was so cool, and you made the connection, is that those plants, they need to rest. They need to be cut down. They actually need to rest. And if they don't have all the resources they need, or the right conditions, or the right environment, then they'll actually stay dormant. And even for years, that's an exception, but it could happen, and it did.
So we have a visual on the wall even. You're saying here the body is more like a plant than a car, and the root system of the human body that really touches and controls everything is that central nervous system. The human body is so similar. When we don't have the right conditions or the right resources, we kind of go into this similar dormancy. It's a survival mechanism. Fight or flight, this survival mode rather than like a growth and repair mode. Thank you for sharing that. I do want to walk through just an adjustment now and show what the process looks like for people at home that might be wondering. Let's have you go ahead and lie face down, please. So a little limited on that right one. Feel that compared to the left?
Yeah.
Probably see that on camera. And then the other thing, let's have the right hand down here with the palm up for me, please. And then lift the hand off as far as you can. Good. A little limited there. Then try the left one. And lift it off. Yeah. A little easier on the left. Feel the difference? Okay. And then let's try here. So I used a reflex to find this spot, and this is the first adjustment. Breath in, please, and let it all go. Good. Now let's have the right hand back here and lift it off. Look at that.
Wow.
Much better.
Yeah.
Really easier too?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then let's see with the feet also. So still a little limit on the right, but it met us better than it did. Yeah. Good. Once I find the spot, I'm checking for the direction. There we go. Good. Now try the same right hand on the low back. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Good.
Much better. I didn't realize it was kind of in the front of my shoulder, because now it feels like I can lift it.
Feels easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me feel your neck too, because that's, much better there. So simply put, we always say the brain controls how we feel, how we move, and how we function. And it's really easy to see the difference in movement after just a couple quick adjustments. So we change the movement in the leg, we change the movement in the arm. This is more of a systemic approach, so similar to what we just showed on the wall. Again, the root system, it touches everything. When you tend to the root system, you see resolution of all the branches.